What's up, everybody? Jay here with Jay's Backyard Cooking, and today we're going to get into a smoked brisket on the Traeger 780. Let's get into it. So back inside, let's see what we have here. The other day, me and my wife were shopping at Kroger, and we came across this brisket. It's almost 8 pounds, and they had it on sale for $23. It's not a real pretty cut, but it's going to do the job. For $23, we'll make it work. As far as seasonings go, we're gonna go straight SPG, Texas style, salt, pepper, garlic. Let's get to trimming. All right, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pat this dry. It'll be easier to work with as I pat it dry. But one thing we wanna do is just get as much of the extra fat off that we want, any of the silver skin, kind of get this shape to the point where we don't have any sharp edges like this here. We're just gonna round these off. We'll get some of this silver skin off. And one thing I want you to remember, guys, is we're not trying to win any competitions over here. All we're doing is trying to make good, tasty food for the family. So what I'm gonna start doing is trimming off a lot of the fat, the silver skin you see here. You'll notice I'm throwing it in one of these silver throwaway meatloaf pans. And that's because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it in the smoker right along with the brisket. And we're gonna make some beef tallow. And what we're gonna do with the beef tallow is once the brisket gets to temp where I'm ready to wrap it, I'll just pour the beef tallow all over the butcher paper and on top of the brisket. And it's gonna get it that just a little bit moist, more moist than what it would, in my opinion, if we don't use it. And then these corners over here, it's like I said, these corners right here, we're just gonna get these and we're gonna round it. We're gonna cut it straight this way. Give it that nice shape. And then we're just gonna cut the corner off right there. Just kind of the signs behind it so that the smoke can come around and not have any of those sharp edges. We'll get this side cut the same way. If you find you buy a brisket that's a little too off shape and you have to cut off a lot, don't throw that away. Save it, freeze it. Eventually you'll build up enough of it to where you can ground it down and make hamburgers out of it. So again, just some of that silver skin we don't want to save. See this little knuckle right here? We'll try to get some of that out. And if you dig too deep, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. We'll cut this piece off in a little bit. Let's flip this over. See all these little flabs? This right here we want to get rid of. This knuckle right here is what they call the decal fat. There's a huge chunk of hard fat in there. That's what's gonna make some really good tallow. We'll just shave some of that off. Again, if you go too deep like I did right there, we're not trying to win competitions. We're just gonna shave all of this down as much as we can, as far down as we can. If you need a bigger pan, use a bigger pan. If you need two, get two. But again, you get the concept. We want nice round edges. Again, this piece here, I'm probably just gonna cut off because it's gonna be a nuisance to me. And then again, this we can save for later. Ground it down to hamburger meat, use it for some kind of a stew. So we'll put this aside. Just save all of this fat, get rid of any sharp edges. that's about where I like it right there. So now we'll go ahead and go in with the seasoning. If you see, I went ahead and transferred the brisket over from the cutting board to an aluminum pan. Again, guys, you're gonna hear me say on my channel quite often, I do not like to make a lot of dishes. I like to keep things simple, as clean as possible as I go. And as far as the seasoning goes, go as heavy or as light as you want. I like to go heavy on most of it just because I like to get a good bark right before wrapping. And seasoning heavy will help achieve that. Salt, pepper, garlic, guys. This is what we're going with. Simple, Texas style. As far as the beef tallow goes, we're not going to season it at all. All we want that to do is take on the smoky flavor. All right, we're going to get this dropped down to 200 degrees. All right, we got it set to 200 degrees. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the brisket on there, fat side towards the fire, the hotter spot of the Traeger, and then I'm just going to throw the beef tallow in there wherever and just let that start to render. Again, I have it set fat side towards the hotter spot of my Traeger, and then kind of at an angle where the flat part right there is facing the fire there. And then the beef tallow is just gonna sit there and do its thing. Not gonna touch that at all. At about 3 hours, I'll come out here and check where we're at, and then maybe start to spritz at that point with a 50-50 mix of vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and water. All right, guys, 3 hours in, we're gonna go ahead and check it. Sitting at 127, good color. Yo, look, we starting to get some tallow in there already. Slowly but surely. Now we're gonna start spritzing. Everywhere except for the fat cap. We don't want to get the fat cap. We don't want that part to cool down. We want that to stay nice and warm as possible. That way it continues to render. At this point, I'll spray tallow just a little bit. Every 30 minutes until we get to an internal temp of 160, 165. That's where we wrap, and then we're done spritzing. Finally hit the 160 inch. Now I'm going to pull it out, put it right in the middle of the butcher paper that I have here. And then this is where the beef tallow comes in. So I'm just gonna grab some of this beef tallow. If you see it rendered up really nice, and I'm just gonna pour it all on top of the brisket here, just as much or little as you want, and then we wrap. Get it real as nice and tight as you can. At this point, we are done. It gets back into the Traeger, and we'll let it go till it hits the 200, 205 internal temp, and then we'll pull and let rest. Okay guys, here we are 10 hours later. Finally got the brisket up to temp. This is about 200. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take it out and put it in this aluminum pan right here. I'm gonna cover it up in foil paper and let it rest for a minimum of an hour before we cut it. Then before I cover it, guys, look at all the tallow that one pan made. This is the one that I used to drizzle onto the brisket, but we still have this whole one right here. Again, beef tallow, it can be used for your everyday cooking. Instead of using your regular store-bought, you've just made your own. Okay, back inside, the brisket rested for about an hour, hour and a half. I'm gonna say more on the hour and a half side. Doesn't really matter. The longer it rests, the better. I've let it go up to 4 hours before opening it up. But here you'll see the finished product. Everything is gonna be really greasy, so wear gloves. But this is what we got. Look at the juices just falling off of that. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna put this aside. Remember, I still have the beef tallow in here. That we'll put into a mason jar and save it for later. But we'll get this out of the way, and then we'll start to cut it. Of course, we have the point on this side, the flat on this side. So we're just gonna get it like right in the middle and cut it down this way. And then you'll see, look at the juices coming out of there. That's what we're looking for. Not competition barbecue, just good barbecue that we can eat at home and that my family loves. So the flat is typically cut just the same way that we cut it, this way. The point, you're gonna wanna turn this way and cut against the original cut that we had right here. So we'll go ahead and cut this up. I'm gonna put it in a fresh pan. Here you have it, all sliced up. This is what we're looking for right here. Just laid over the finger, just like that. So for tonight's dinner, we have potato salad that we bought from H-E-B. We're just gonna throw some of this on a plate. We're gonna grab a scoop or two of potato salad, a little bit of bread, and that's dinner.